Hey guys, it's your girl Fuzz. Welcome back to another Stardew Valley video. Today I wanted to do something with redesigning your farm. I know I've got some designs for each of the farms that are available in Stardew Valley, but I wanted to suggest some cool ideas that you could do on your farm. I like to change it up as much as I can, and I thought I might suggest some cool things that you could do on your farm to spice it up a little, or to provide some tips if you want to do some cool things to your farm. Let's get into it. So the first thing I like to do is kind of just let my imagination run, whether I put things in a corner and wait until my farm is at least semi-clear or even fully cleared before I decide to put some things on there. So I generally like to wait until the farm is a little more cleared out so I can have the availability of just putting things wherever I want instead of just shoving them into a corner. Now the one thing that I notice when it comes to farms, especially the really nice design ones, is symmetry is quite important. It is important to try and keep a shape in mind when you're designing your farm. So if you're putting down your machines, for example, you can put them linear, but if you want to change it up, maybe put them into a shape. For example, I wanted to put down some bee houses, and there's 34 bee houses that I wanted to place down. Now obviously you can put them into a linear design, but I want them all to be around flowers, as the bees in your bee houses will create that type of honey when it's around a certain type of flower. The reason being is normal honey, for example, when it's not by any flower, will sell for 100 gold, but for the most expensive flower, which is fairy rose, which only grows in fall, the honey will actually sell for 680 gold, so it's probably a better idea than just selling them by themselves. So the design that I wanted to go with was something so then the bee houses all reached the flowers that I wanted to place down, so I got myself a quality sprinkler and added in 6 flowers, and then I placed them in rows like this, so then I had 1, the space to get to the flowers when I needed to change them up, and 2, enough bee houses so they all reach the flowers. The bee houses do need to be 5 crop spaces away from flowers, so just be sure to keep that in mind when you're placing down your bee houses. Now, crop spaces are quite important. This is a farming sim after all, so you want to make sure that your irrigation system is quite on point and making sure that all your crops are being watered and being automated. And you can get sprinklers as early as level 2 of farming, and obviously trying to design these since each sprinkler reaches a certain amount of crop spaces is going to be quite important. Now, of course, you can go with the linear style if you prefer that, but I thought I might give some designs for each of the sprinklers depending on which level you're at. Now, firstly, if you're at level 2 of farming, you should have sprinklers available which covers 4 crop spaces, which is 2 vertical and 2 horizontal crop spaces. Now to place down your sprinklers, this is a shout out to the min-maxers and speedrunners of Stardew Valley, but you can do sort of a diagonal pattern with your sprinklers. So any crop spaces which isn't covered by the previous sprinkler is covered by the next sprinkler. It is important to note that with this design, there is a crop space that is missed out. In order to cover this crop space here, there will be 2 sprinklers that will cover the same crop space, but we want to eliminate that to ensure that the sprinklers is covering every crop space by itself. So you can do this pattern here and just fit in any scarecrow in any of the empty spots. Now for the quality sprinkler design, I wanted to put them within the radius of a scarecrow, which covers the 8 crop spaces vertical and horizontal on each axis and any crop spaces within it. And to do so, you can actually cover 24 sprinklers within one scarecrow's radius. The crop spaces at the ends don't get covered, so just be sure to not go too far with your crops because they won't get reached by that scarecrow. Although you can place another scarecrow to make sure that they get reached. And with all this design like this, you actually cover 192 crop areas, so that's pretty good for just one scarecrow to cover. And then after Iridium sprinklers, which is my favorite sprinkler, of course, because it covers a 24 crop area around it. Now again, you can take one of the previous designs, but I actually like to design the Iridium sprinklers around a Junimo hut. Now, if you're new to the game, a Junimo hut is a building that can be placed once you complete the community center or the Jojamut program. I won't go too much into it, but the wizard does have a book and there are some buildings that you can place on your farm which are super late game, and Junimo huts are one of these. Junimo huts aren't really required, but if you're someone like me who doesn't have the time and would rather do something off the farm, then Junimo huts are definitely a good idea. Now you can actually place 8 Iridium sprinklers around this Junimo hut, and you can actually place a quality sprinkler in front of the Junimo hut as well. With a design like this, I did decide to also put some floor spaces to show you how far the Junimo hut will actually reach these, but they don't have to be placed down if you don't want to. This is a total of 200 crop spaces that this Junimo hut can reach, but you will need to make sure that you have 4 scarecrows to make sure all the crops are covered. I generally like to go with this design, especially late game, because I know I'm going to put Junimo huts. I find them quite useful, and they do cover the 200 crop spaces, so it saves me a lot of time. Now, no matter what farm layout you've picked out, you would already know that the farm is quite unequal and some farms are more unequal than others. One way that I like to fix this up is by using flooring on your farm. Not only does it provide the aesthetics and also a walking space for your character, but it also allows you to separate areas of your farm if you want to delegate certain areas for certain skills. For example, and I'm going to use the standard farm as it's one of my favorite farms to use, you can start at the very north exit of the farm and continue down with 2 columns of flooring and take that all the way down even past the pond on the south side of your farm. And just with this design like this, you've got now 2 sections of your farm that you can design. Better yet, if you want to take it midway, you can do 2 floor spaces vertical and then split up your farm into 4 different areas. Now, if you're interested in separating your farm into 4 sections and you want an idea on what to delegate for each section, I actually have a 4 corners farm layout video that separates each section to its own kind of delegated skill, so I'll put it in the annotations above in the description below. Also, if you watched this far, why not consider liking the video? And if you'd like, you're more than welcome to subscribe to see more videos. And as well, I have started a Patreon which helps support the channel, so I will leave the link in the description below. We're not done with the video yet, even though we can separate the farm into 2 and 4 sections. Why not change it up and maybe do 3 sections to the farm? Now, what you can do to start off is go to the north section exit if you're on the standard farm and take it down with 2 columns of flooring, but stop around here and head to the exit on the east side of the farm. Now do 2 rows of flooring across from this exit across all the way to the west side of the farm and make sure both of these floor spaces connect with each other. Now with this design, you have the whole lower section of your farm to do whatever you please with. So you can divide it, for example, into 3 different areas. You can have the middle area for your coops and your barns, the left section for your crops, and the right sections for your buildings or anything else. Now, trees of all sorts in Stardew Valley are quite important, whether it's fruit trees, your standard trees to give you wood, or if it's your standard trees with tappers on them. Placing them on your farm is quite important, and you can actually put them around your other designs if you're looking to save some space. Now, generally when I place my trees on my farm, it's very linear. I usually do like a zigzag pattern with my trees because not only does it allow spacing for the trees to all grow, but it also allows there to be more space on my farm instead of the trees taking all the space. But with this design that I have with the current farm that I'm showing off, I put them around the crops to the left section. So I've got my fruit trees over here and also my trees with tappers on them. I do definitely suggest any tree that's going to supply you with some items to maybe keep them around the crops, so then you have one section to go to that you need to pick up those items and then take them to another section so you can produce or sell those items. Now, after trying to get your farm to be designed in a certain way, sometimes you might end up with empty spaces, and I'll put some grass starters down there so grass can grow and trees. Now, these don't have to be in a certain pattern, they can just be placed down just to make sure that they grow. Sometimes you can keep the area like this and place a fence around them so it's kind of like its own aesthetic look over there. Or at a later stage of your gameplay, if you'd be needing some hay for your animals and some wood for your farm, you can cut these both down with a scythe and an axe respectively to get your resources. Hopefully this video has helped you out, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Good luck on your adventures. Take care.